Hello and welcome to JumpChat. Today I've been joined by a couple of very excited guests because at the weekend's just gone, we did have DC Fandome, and the only thing really worth talking about from DC Fandome was a certain trailer that appeared towards the end of the show. We are here today to talk about all things The Batman. I'm excited for this conversation as much as these guys are. But I'll do a quick introduction. I'm, of course, Rhys, and I'm joined by Sam. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by Tom. Hello, Tom.
Good evening.
How are you both doing? Are we both excited?
Oh, mate.
I've been looking forward to this all day.
Yeah, it's dominated my every thought. I've watched the trailer roughly 8 times in the last day or so. How many views are you guys on yourselves?
Ooh, I'm nearing 20.
20?
I'm getting there.
Well, I must have watched it about 6 times back to back as soon as it came out, and then I've just been watching it randomly throughout the day. So yeah, I've lost count.
Yeah, I spent my kind of morning when I woke up just watching it again and looking at like screen caps and pausing at various points and reading the things on this floor, all that kind of stuff. I've just fully engrossed myself in the trailer, much like I did with the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer the other week. But this one, I somehow might have beaten the hype for Spider-Man, which is quite an achievement. Oh man! But I thought we'd start with a quick question to both of you. I'll go to Sam first. What were your initial thoughts when the trailer dropped last night?
Oh, mate. Well, I'd like to preface this just by saying DC Fandom knew what everybody was watching for and somehow still made us sit through 3.5 hours of bullshit to get to this. But it was worth it in the end because this like the first trailer is a hell of a trailer, and it's still mysterious. We still don't quite know the full picture, but it looks immense.
Yeah, it does, and I think the first trailer had a bit of a different impact because we didn't expect a trailer last year. Was it last year?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it was last year. God, that feels like a long time ago. But yeah, because they'd already been filming for weeks at that point, and then they brought out this astonishing trailer that had like the Batman moment of him demolishing a guy's face. And yet this one had a different hype because we knew it was coming, and it still delivered on those expectations. It's amazing. Tom, what did you think of the trailer last night?
Yeah, absolutely every shot of that trailer is just art. Like you said, last year we were all saying, no, we're not going to see anything. We'll probably get like a bit of a Lucas suit or something like that. And like I said, we all knew this one was coming. And then there was all the buzz about it going around beforehand and all the little, the new posters and the clips and stuff. But yeah, the trailer, especially right at the start, and it kicks off, with the police going into the little cafeteria bit with
diner, yeah.
Yeah, the diner, that's the word, yeah.
Cafeteria.
Yeah. I was going to say cafe, and I was like, it's not going to be cafe, is it? But yeah, the little diner, that's the word. But it's just left me with more questions, really. Like the fact that they didn't show Paul Dano's face once, and they made a point of not showing it at a couple of key points in the trailer. So yeah, I'm excited.
Let's talk about the Riddler then, as you just mentioned it. Why do you think they're not showing his face? What do you think is the reason behind that?
Well, it's the Riddler, isn't it? There could be any number. I don't know whether my initial thought is whoever they get in the diner at the beginning isn't going to be the right person. It's going to be like it's going to be like someone who looks like him or something like that.
Do you think?
Could be, but then you see the bit where he's in the prison, and then the thing lifts on the window, and again cuts off just before it gets to his to his face. So that sort of made me think, well, maybe it is him then, but I don't know. I'm excited to find out why, but I just guess anything at the minute.
because I was fully on board with the fact that they were arresting the actual Paul Dano Riddler, because the side of his face looked very Paul Dano-ish.
Yeah.
Specifically in Prisoners from a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, that, like you said, that's the Riddler's game, though. He does tend to play things differently. And I think there is always a danger of having a plot where the villains, one of the villain's main parts of it is, I've got to get arrested on purpose by the police, and then that's when it all kicks off. Which has its flaws as a concept. So that I doubt that'll be it, because I think it's been more cleverly thought about than that. But I like the thought of it not being the Riddler himself, because the idea of him asking for a question mark in his coffee is very funny to me. Like, that's legitimately quite
Maybe
funny.
the Riddler's just a sick barista in his spare time.
Yeah, I know. Maybe he's working at the diner and he was like just practicing his question marks. That's all he was doing. Man. What do you think is the Riddler's deal, Sam?
I don't know. Like, I feel like that bit where Batman's obviously in the interrogation cell. I don't know whether it's too wild a fear, but what if it's not even the Riddler and a completely different Batman villain that they're setting up?
Like who?
I don't know who. I don't want to say it could be the Joker, because I feel like they're not going to touch the Joker in this trilogy. I feel like the Joker's been done.
We've seen the Joker. Yes, I agree with that.
I don't know. I feel like it's got to be something, because they're heavily hinting that the Court of Owls is going to be involved with this trilogy, or at least this film anyway. So I don't know if it could be something to do with that. But if it is the Riddler, maybe the Riddler's got like decoys. Maybe he's got a team that's helping him like do different like crimes all over the city, kind of thing. So he can coordinate attacks at different times and like distract people while like the main grand scheme unfolds. So I don't know. There's got to be a reason why, because there's a bit later on in the trailer where you see Paul Dano in a cell. It's very like ill lit, but you see him like punching a wall inside his cell, and you can tell it's him. And it didn't look like his face like had any kind of reason why it should be covered. So I'm really not sure.
It is interesting that like the Riddler's design, I guess in this one, is his face is entirely like covered in like duct tape. It looks actually pretty vile. And it's a choice, and that alludes to your potential theory that he's not doing all of this stuff. Like, he's just sending people out to do his bidding for him while he does things elsewhere, which is, again, very Riddler from my experience, like the Arkham games and stuff. That's what he does. He doesn't get involved. He just sets things up and then lets them happen to Batman. Yeah. Rather than him doing them himself. It's really interesting. But I just know for a fact that I can't wait to see what Paul Dano does with this character. Because
it's got to be good. It's got to be.
Oh, if it goes well, this could be one of the all-time great comic book castings for me. Because he's such a good actor, and I think he just fits the Riddler so perfectly. Just from what he looks like and how he likes to kind of play his characters. I just think it works. And I can't wait to see what he does with it.
I'm just looking forward to, I think we said it last time we spoke about when we did the DC Fandome podcast, I'm just looking forward to a Batman film where, although we get to see him being quite physical in this trailer, like, we're going to get to see him have like a mental battle as well against his enemy, and I don't think we've really done that yet in any Batman films. I think they tried to do it to an extent with Ben Affleck because he was a bit more kind of techie and he would figure stuff out, but I feel like this one's going to be the proper like psychological match where it has to be as cunning as the Riddler and outplay him. Yeah,
I think so too. Like you said, the Dark Knight or the Nolan trilogy never really dealt with Batman's psyche as much as other Batman films could have. And I think based on what Pattinson was saying yesterday when they were on Zoom in the Fandome with Matt Reeves and Zoe Kravitz, he was saying that Batman is wrestling with various demons and he's struggling with coming to terms with what he has to do for the city, and I can't wait to see what he does with that as well. Everything about this film is so exciting. Like you said, Tom, how it looks visually incredible. Yeah. And you were texting me yesterday, Sam, about how the aesthetic of the film, that just from the trailer, just feels so real and so alive and layered and textured, and it's just everything about it just screams this could be one of the greats to me.
I was saying, like the set design stuff. We've not had a Gotham quite has realised this for quite some time. Probably not since like the Tim Burton films, which was like a very over stylized version of Gotham. But this feels like they've managed to strike that blend between kind of realism and what Tim Burton was doing. It feels dingy, it feels lived in, and in the trailer we get to go to kind of different places like Penguin's Iceberg Lounge, which is like a full-on underground rave nightclub, and there's like a shot of Batman just walking through the crowd, like going into the nightclub, which is just, I don't know, I like the context of Batman kind of just existing in the environment and people not being so fussed, and I think that's because he's so early in his career as well.
Do you think that's where there's a scene that I can't wait for? It's the one when there's a fight and there's like red flashing lights. Do you reckon that's in the Iceberg Lounge? Because there's a shot of Selena Kyle walking away and she's wearing a wig and she's clearly kind of dressed up for a night out. It could be that. That's very exciting.
I think so. I mean, when I was watching that action sequence, we're thinking like, are we about to get a one take in a Batman film?
Oh mate,
are we about to get like a juicy one, or is he like beating people up?
Well, there's one really, really nice extended little bit of action choreography when he's on the stairs and he beats up like two guys with a bat, I think. And I'm thinking, that is pretty sweet. But if we could get a Batman one, mate, you know me in one takes, man. Like, this could be the best thing I've ever seen.
The cool thing as well, like, it actually looks like, at least to my eyes, it is Robert Pattinson doing the fighting as well.
Yeah, it does.
Whereas, like, Ben Affleck did bits of it, but there's clear like shots in any of those films where you can tell it's the stunt double doing the like choreography. But in this, I feel I'm pretty sure it's him. I'm pretty sure it's him doing the work.
It looks very good. It wouldn't surprise me if there are, there must be some stunt doubling
of course,
at some point. But it's really exciting that you could, like you said, you could clearly see that it was Pattinson doing this stuff, and that just adds even more to it. That they've gone the whole way, and he's gone the whole way of, I want to do all of this because I feel like I should be actual Batman, not just playing the role of him.
I think he said something yesterday at Fandome, like he were referring to Tenet. I think it was in like an interview after the fight where it was like, oh, on my last film I did, one of the aspects of it that I've dove into this time is training, and I think he was just kind of speaking to the fact he has been putting in the time to kind of work out and learn. I think there were reports at one point when people kind of doubting whether he could do that, or that he was learning like Krav Maga and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and all sorts of stuff, and it's paid off clearly.
I
hope so. I felt like we've left you, Tom, to just listening for a bit.
No, I'm all for it, me. I can listen. Literally, I'll probably listen back to this, but I could listen to you two ramble on about all this sort of stuff all the time.
What do you think about Pattinson? Like, how excited are you to see his portrayal of Batman?
Oh, I was excited from day one for Pattinson. I think
me too.
He's an incredible actor, and yeah, as soon as it was announced, I've been behind it the whole way. And he looks and sounds incredible as the Batman, and like you say, I think he's going to bring something a bit different to it, which would be good to see.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that with all the different versions of Batman we've had, they're all at really cool different points. Like we saw, with Christian Bale's Batman, he was starting out from scratch and he was learning his trade as he goes. With Ben Affleck, he was a Batman who'd been Batman for 20 years or whatever he was, and he was getting on a bit. And then with Michael Keaton, and he was just kind of new on the block, but he was established as a character. But in this one, he's established, but he's still very much new to the scene. And I think people are doubting him and what he can actually do for the city, which is just a really interesting take on the character, I think.
Yeah, I think Reeves was saying at Fandome, like it is heavily influenced by Year One. Which is a great arc, and really recommended reading if you've not read it yet. But also I think one thing that Reeves mentioned at Fandom that I think we need to see was Pattinson screen tested in Val Kilmer's batsuit, and I really hope someone got a picture of it because I'd love to see that.
He said he was so sweaty inside.
Yeah,
I can imagine. I wonder why it was Kilmer's. Why not anyone else's? Was it just because it was just available? Or?
I don't know, because there's footage when they were casting for Batman Begins, and there's footage of Cillian Murphy and Christian Bale both wearing the Val Kilmer suit, so I don't know if it's just like whenever a Batman is to be cast, it's the default suit that we use. Because I don't know, I thought they might have put him in, like the Bale suit or the Affleck suit even. I don't know. It's an odd choice.
Well, they're not going to whip George Clooney's out.
I don't think so.
Keep that in storage.
Already. Yeah. Oh man. We saw loads of really exciting things in the trailer, and I think one of the main newer features from this one that we got more of than last time was the much more about Selena Kyle and Catwoman. How excited are you to see Zoe Kravitz's iteration of the character?
I think she's going to be pretty cool. I mean, like Tom was saying, it seems to be influenced by Year One, and I think you can see that quite a lot in a iteration of the character here. I mean, in Year One, I don't know if they'll portray it here, but in that she's a prostitute, and she's kind of as dark as Bruce as he is at that part of his life. So I don't know whether they'll go as to that far to bring that into the story, but she does seem interesting, and I like that. Like Bruce, she's not quite quote unquote Catwoman yet. She's still got her own journey to go on.
Yeah, that is cool. And I do wonder kind of how far into her career as a cat burglar she is. Because obviously there's a shot from the first trailer when she's kind of, what's the word, like kind of, not parasails, but she just drops down in through a ceiling to, I think, potentially in Bruce's house. And she's wearing just like a beanie with some kind of Catwoman stuff rather than an actual outfit. So I wonder whether kind of did they start at similar times, or was she a reaction to, oh, Bruce Wayne's about, well, Batman's about, I now need to do this maybe after 6 months or wherever. I really want to see kind of what their dynamic is and kind of how long they've been established for, you know?
Yeah, I'm hoping their sort of dynamic will be explored over Reeves' trilogy, and we sort of get a lot of as well as we see Pattinson, grow and take on this role as Batman, we also see Selena a lot as well, I'm hoping.
I think so. I think there's definitely, a role for her to play as a character across the trilogy, because I thought Anne Hathaway's Catwoman was really good actually in Dark Knight Rises, but she never had the time to be established, whereas if you start Catwoman at the ground level, same as Batman, we could really build their relationship across 3 films, which is, like you say, very exciting. And then this trailer as well. Sorry, you said, go on.
No, I was just going to say, similar to another character in the trailer, I don't know if you were going to go on to this, but the Penguin as well.
I was about to bring him up, literally about it. Yeah.
I could feel it. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, it seems like there's a lot of characters in this film, or at least a few anyway, that are all in different points of their career, and I like the fact that Batman's kind of, the villains aren't necessarily entering his world, he's entering theirs, and he's having to acquaint himself with the kind of organisation that's happening underneath Gotham and all the crime and everything. I like that he's the naive one in this situation this time.
Yeah, I like that as well. And I started to wonder, based on the trailer, if it's going to be more about Oswald rather than Edward Nygma, Because he's much more of a big presence in the trailer, but I think that's on purpose because they want to keep everything about the Riddler as secret as they possibly can. But he gets a lot of play. And I wonder if, the hero shot at the end of Batman just flying through the fire in his Batmobile and then walking towards him with his, the burning stuff behind him is incredible. But I wonder which part of the film that's in. I'm trying to figure out whether that's kind of just the end of the first act, or if
I feel like it's going to be pretty early on.
Do you think?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it's been reported Colin Farrell's not in it too much, and then there's the rumours floating around he's getting his own kind of HBO Max show as well. And we still haven't seen John Turturro yet. He's playing Carmine Falcone, who's the crime boss in Gotham, and I think Penguin's working with him. We haven't seen him yet in the trailer. We saw his name mentioned on that newspaper clipping in the trailer from last year, but it's the exciting thing about this film. There's still a lot we haven't seen, and it's out in March. There's only a few months to go now. Still a lot we don't know.
I know, it's not that long in the grand scheme of the universe.
It feels like an eternity.
It does. March 4th is going to feel so far away. Like, it is still literally next year, and it's 5 months away at this point, but it does feel closer because we've got, thankfully, so much coming out in the next 2 months that should see us through the end of the year quite quickly. And then we've still got lots of things that just haven't been released yet, coming out in January and February. So fingers crossed we'll be able to survive to March the 4th, because I am dying for it. Do you guys have... I know I've got my favourite moment. Do you have a moment in the trailer you're thinking, fucking hell, that was insane?
Tom, do you want to go first?
Well, I'll start with an obvious one. That hallway scene.
Yes. That's the one.
Because just how it looked and the music that was going with it, it was just that was I was like kept going back to that bit, like just kept skipping backwards and just kept watching that repeat. That just looks sensational. And if that's like literally just a taste like of what we're gonna get, then they could have just showed that one clip at Fandome and I'd still be this excited.
That's the one that I think everyone's been talking about and it's been gifted to death over the last day or so.
Yeah.
It's just the way Matt Reeves is a brilliant action director. I think that gets lost, I think in terms of his ability. Like if you think back to Planet of the Apes, or like I always remember the tank shot from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes when the camera is just fixed on the tank as it rotates and all the chaos around it. Like he's got such an eye for action, and that is again a brilliantly choreographed and shot scene that could be something special to watch. But then you've also got to consider that's Greg Fraser's influence as well, who's in line for one of the best years for a cinematographer like ever. If you consider this, he's got Dune as well. Did he shoot The Matrix too?
No, but if he had, then Jesus Christ, like the career that man.
Yeah, this and Dune, like he's just what's Greg Fraser's number 4? You know, Sam.
I'm pretty sure he did Rogue One, if I'm not mistaken.
I
think he did, yeah.
I mean, the corridor scene in Rogue One, man. Like, is the Batman trailer gonna beat the Rogue One Star Wars bit?
Oh,
like,
it's got to.
It's potential. There's strong potential. I think my moment, by the way, before I get to you, Sam, was probably it's either the corridor or it is the scene of the Batmobile. Like, it's the point when the Batmobile crashes through like 2 objects, and it's like, holy shit. And then it flies through the fire and then flips over Oswald's car. I'm just like, that's just fucking unbelievable. It just looks so cool. And it all feels like it's been done as in camera as it possibly can be. It feels like they've actually crashed 2 cars together. Oh man, I can't wait to see it. What about you, Sam? What is your moment of the trailer, if you have to pick one?
I'm going to cheat. One's just kind of like 3 seconds, but the one that's a bit longer than I guess is when Batman's fighting in that train station. He's got the fucking electrocutioner gloves built into his like gauntlet, and he just shocks that guy to death. And you can see the fucking anger in his eyes. Like the feeling is like with Batman, you can tell he's really unhinged, and he's on that kind of breaking point. Like I showed Becky the trailer earlier, and even she said like, "Wow, like Robert Pattinson actually kind of scary in this like iteration of Batman." I think they've done a really good job. So I feel like Batman, like he's intimidating in other films we've seen him in, but have you ever really felt afraid of him?
Fear, no.
And I feel like this version is really selling that aspect of the character. So I'd probably say that bit. And then there's just a really cool shot where it's like a close up of his eyes in the in mask.
Yeah.
And it's got like beautiful bokeh behind him. Like it's like Tom said, every like frame in this trailer looks gorgeous.
It does.
Oh, can't wait.
I keep thinking about there's like a few shots. I really like they released a still before the trailer that was just Batman looking out over the city, which I think looks amazing.
Yeah.
But is the one I think about a lot is the one of him and Catwoman on like a roof.
Yeah.
But it's like in like an archway with like against a sunset. I'm like, this is just. You're taking a piss now, Greg. This is ridiculous.
It looked like in that scene, like on the trailer, like I think I sent a screenshot last night. It looks like Gordon's taking him down. Like Batman is trying to arrest him or something. So I'm curious to see what their relationship's like in this film, because obviously in the first trailer we saw he's allowed to go on to crime scenes and stuff and actively participate. So that's kind of cool. And another thing I don't think we've touched on yet, the music.
Oh, mate.
The score.
The score, I can't wait for it. I tried to kind of write it in text the earlier, didn't I? And it's like, bam, 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 bam. But it's just, that is iconic already. So cool.
Yeah.
Giacchino, man, is a great composer as well. He's really talented.
I remember when they released that screen test with just Pattinson in his suit and the music, and that was just, it's going to be something special, that is.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that they chose to go back to Nirvana as well for this one.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
I didn't think they'd use the same song again, but I'm happy for them to do it because it works.
It does. It's a really that fits the mood of the trailer and the film so well. Yeah.
There's a shot in the trailer. So I'm just skimming through it at the minute. There's the one where he's on like the clock tower and he jumps off and the camera follows.
Oh yes.
But like a POV on his back. Oh.
Mm-hmm. That is a
looks
amazing
incredible.
shot.
And
I'm also a sucker for, in terms of kind of like techniques, I love a one take, and also I love any shot that is like attached to an object.
Yes,
Like, I remember
I agree.
Breaking Bad did it before. I remember in my head, I think it's the Fly episode, when there's a camera on a shovel, and it's like he puts a shovel and like picks it up, and it's like that from the camera's point of view. Yeah. And I love that so much. So more of that universe.
I have a good point of view shot. There's a point of view shot in Kingsman I always think of, the first one, where in the battle at the end in the mountain, Eggsy does like a roll onto his back, and the camera like goes onto the slide of the pistol as he rolls, and it rotates upside down. It's fucking awesome. Yeah.
There's one in the trailer. Speaking of Kingsman, just briefly, there's one in one of the first trailers when I think the camera is on the sword as it like slides up another sword or something. I'm like, yes, bring back the POV shot, man.
If we get
need
like
more of those.
A point of view like back grapple shot.
Oh my god!
Please,
like a Spider-Man type thing.
Let's do it,
man. Is there anything else to discuss? Like the music, obviously, is incredible. Where do you think? Sorry. You
no, sorry. I was going to say I don't think we've mentioned Circus and his.
Oh, we haven't.
Battle-worn looking Alfred with his scars.
Yeah, man, he's looking weathered.
So we don't see much of him, do we? Hot streak. Yeah.
And he's I think someone tweeted about it yesterday that it's nice to hear him actually speak with his own accent. He's not like mentally South African or whatever. He's just allowed to be English for a bit.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping they sort of utilize Alfred a bit more, especially because it's it's the early days for Batman. So I'm assuming that Alfred is going to be a huge kind of mentor for him in that capacity, because obviously he's got his past and things like that. So yeah, I'm hoping that'll be a good dynamic between those two.
I hope so too. I think the cast is so impressive, and I'm excited to see who they can add to it across the trilogy. Because there's so many characters you could call upon to bring in. And they've made Colin Farrell look like that. Like anyone could be anyone at this point. Yeah. It's really exciting.
And
the last. Oh yeah, go on.
No, go on. Sorry, I sent. What's his name? Barry.
Barry Keoghan.
He's in it as well. But I don't think we saw him in that trailer, did we?
No, he didn't. I was going to mention that earlier, actually, because I think my theory about Barry Keoghan's character and also Jim Gordon, which is Jeffrey Wright, I think the planned Gotham PD series is probably going to be, I think, pre-Batman, and it's going to be them trying to take down Cobblepot, I think, is my theory. He's kind of setting up his own mob, gangster shit in the city.
As long as it's better than Gotham, then I'll take it.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a HBO show, with Jeffrey Wright and Barry Keoghan and Colin Farrell. How can you fuck that up?
We said it before, but Jeffrey Wright is
what a dude.
Inspired casting,
as
are pretty much all of the roles in this film.
Yeah, I'm really excited for him. He's also on a really good run himself. He's just done What If in the Marvel universe. He's now Jim Gordon. He's his voice alone. The cadence of his voice is so cool. He can deliver anything and make it sound fucking class. So, yeah. The last thing I was going to ask about the trailer before we wrap things up. So the first trailer had very much the noir mystery, almost like Seven vibes to it. Whereas this one felt much more like a bit more of a conventional Batman action type film. And there were lots of discussions about whether this one would be 15 in the UK or rated R in America. Do you think that's still the case, or do you think it's going to go for a PG-13 12A rating?
It's got to be a 15, I reckon.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I would hope they'd try and fight for the 15, yeah. Especially after seeing that trailer and just, he's taking... There's that shot of him on the on the banisters, and he's like taking that guy out with a bat and everything. I'd just love to keep it as they've shot it, kind of thing, and keep it as brutal as they can, because that's what we're getting from this. The vibe we're getting from this is he is unhinged and he is absolutely brutal. So we'd love to see that, on the screen.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they won't take the risk in terms of box office money. Like 15s never make as much money as 12As do because they appeal to a slightly smaller audience. And I just think the Batman character is so popular around the entire world that they want to get as many eyes on it as they can. And I think they'll try and just make it like a hard 12A rather than a 15.
Hard
personally,
12A.
is where I think it's going. Yeah, a 12 rated 12A plus whatever. Yeah.
Oh, I hope it's a 15.
I mean, I love it if it's 15. If I can see Batman cave a dude's face in full glory, then absolutely fine. But I just feel like the UK is a bit softer with ratings. Like, I was surprised that Venom 2 was a 15 because it's a PG-13 in America. So I don't know. It could be 15 here.
There's no way in hell Venom 2 is a 15.
It's not 15, but it is a rated 15, isn't it? It's like it is 15. When at the start it says rated 15 for strong threat and violence or whatever. Yeah. It's not a 15 though, by the way. Not a 15.
No, not at all. If that can get away with being a 15,
yeah,
give us the Batman.
But then The Dark Knight, that was a 12A. That's pretty dark.
It's true, and you do have a dude's face hanging off in the latter half of the movie.
Yeah, and the Joker blows up a fucking hospital.
It's true. I don't know. I just feel like if the Riddler's as tormented as he's being set up to be, it's got to be pretty fucked up.
Yeah, the Riddler genuinely does terrify me. Like, there's that one shot of him when he's on the news and he's recorded a video for Batman. He just looks scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Like the way they've designed his character. I think I said it earlier. Just the way with the duct tape. That also looks unhinged. Like this guy is not mentally there.
Yeah.
Whereas at least Batman has, he's got his bulletproof vest because he's just tanking machine gun bullets left and right. And, like just a guy that is killing people while wrapped in duct tape just really freaks me out as just a general concept. So it could be a 15. I'm happy to be proved wrong. I hope it is, but I think it's going to be a 12A. Just a really intense 12A.
We'll soon find out.
Yeah, we will. We haven't got long to wait.
Far.
No. So I think that is going to wrap up our The Batman conversation. We will be returning to this chat, for the next 5 months anyway, in our own chat. We might even return for a second Batman chat at some point, just because we possibly can. But yeah, The Batman, if you have seen the trailer, which I'm sure you have, let us know what you think on Twitter or in the comments on YouTube, because I want to devour myself in all things The Batman for the next 5 months. At this point, I am worried that Spider-Man is going to lose its impact on me, But I'll say that again in 3 months' time, when December's coming around.
December's going to be mad.
It is. December is a big month of cinema.
It's going to be busy.
But anyway, thank you very much to my two guests, Sam and Tom. Thank you, Sam.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Tom.
Pleasure as always.
I have been Rhys. You can follow us on Twitter at @JumpCut_online. You can also subscribe to our Patreon for as little as £1 to get access to even more special, exclusive content on there. And just thank you for all the support you've given us over the last several kind of years of this. It's been really good fun, and we're happy to bring more of it to you. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers and farewell.